Hey lads, many of you requested a commentary for some of the M+ runs, so I decided to do one for Shadowmoon Burial Grounds. Let's set some expectations at the start. First, I'm not the best player in the game, obviously, so everything I'm going to say, all the perspectives that I'm going to give you are from my point of view, so they apply and they work for me, but they're not necessarily best practices, and they're not necessarily going to help you as well. And second, also, I always upload videos that basically go well. This one didn't go that well, but of course not all of my M+ runs are timed, so we're going to see some mistakes here, and we're going to talk about them during the run. It's a Tyrannical week. The first trash pack is not hard even on Fortified. Make sure to interrupt the Shadowman's stun, etc. That's it. The other thing to worry about this week, obviously, is the Quaking. Especially if you have heavy melee, and this guy usually want to skip, so we're just running to the left. This pack is not going to be very interesting as well, doing the opener combo with Lava Burst and Flame Shock to proc Master of the Elements and Focused Insight, and then casting the Healing Rain. The Warrior, of course, moves the mobs out of it, but it is what it is. So nothing is going to happen pretty much up until the first boss. Nothing interesting, at least. I don't think those packs are interesting even on Fortified weeks. Make sure to dispel the curse, and you should be at the first boss pretty quickly. Usually we save Lust for this, and now we start. Now this boss is relatively easy to heal, although you have to be prepared for the Whispering AoE that he does every now and then. So avoid the things on the ground. Usually the fight starts with them, and then here is the Whispering, the Whispers, you can call them whatever you'd like. You need to be prepared because this is the only thing that basically can kill you. This is heavy AoE damage, so you need to be prepared. You need to have a cooldown, maybe, and you need to be pre-casting even before they start coming up. Next, these guys actually killed the ad pretty quickly. I didn't even have to help them. Obviously, you don't want the ad to reach above the boss, and then you need to stay on the white circle when the Dark Eclipse happens. Once the Dark Eclipse is over, you can actually start moving. Now, usually he does the Whispers over here. That was a little bit of a panic moment because I was not ready, so I just run to the group and popped Ascendance right away so I can top everyone as quickly as possible. Other than that, if you are well prepared, of course, you can just precast your chain heals, and you might not even need a cooldown on this 20, at least on Tyrannical. Another ad dies pretty quickly. I think I dropped Earthbind Totem just to slow it down a little bit. You can also stun it. This is, I guess, another panic moment here because the Whisper started and there was a Quaking, so I couldn't cast. But sometimes you have to rely. If it's a hard moment like that, you cannot heal everyone, so you have to rely that if somebody's low, they're going to pop a CD. Right, another Dark Eclipse. The Dark Eclipse does some damage that you want to heal up quickly after that, especially if you know that there's Whispers coming. But usually that's not immediate heal. That's not urgent top everyone off. You have plenty of time for this Whispers. I was ready. I'm precasting my chain heals. Actually, everybody dropped a little bit low, but I didn't have any CDs available at this point, except actually Spirit Link. I could have popped that. But I decided that the chain heals will go off fast enough so nobody dies, and I was correct. On this boss, also clear the Thundering a little bit early, because if Dark Eclipse happens, or in this case Quaking or something, and you have to move, it might be actually hard to clear the Thundering. So don't just sit there and wait for it for the last possible second. Okay, so I'm running close again because I know there's another Whispers coming. This time I'm ready with the Spirit Link. This is the reason that I don't like Spirit Link, right? Because everybody is melting in the Spirit Link, right? Although I'm healing, everybody gets really low, which in some situations could be bad, but in this case, we managed to survive, and the first boss is dead. I type in chat, you don't see the chat, but I typed in chat, please wait for mana, because I was at 30%, and this next pack could be tricky. This next pack, the important part here is don't interrupt the ongoing dominations, because if you interrupt those mobs, they will start casting the domination on your teammates, and they'll get mind controlled, and very bad things will happen. So avoid stuns here. I got aggro here. I don't know how. I don't know why. I don't know why that mob was not taunted faster, but I popped my Spirit Walker's Grace, and somehow I managed to run away and survive. The good thing is, although the warrior did not take aggro immediately, it's actually a very bad warrior, as you're going to see, but the good thing is that he didn't interrupt the dominations. Now, you can keep these mobs on top of the domination mobs and AoE them down as long as you don't interrupt, which means no stunts, nothing like that, no pushbacks, but he decided to pull them back. In this case, it's not a big deal. My druid keeps getting hit. I think he got aggro as well. At this point, but he also managed to survive. And after those mobs are almost dead, yeah, so as you can see on the bottom of your screen, there's a mob that's chasing him and killing him. This warrior, that's the first cue, right? That you don't have a good tank. Now, some of the mobs are interrupted. If you can interrupt the domination, the mind control person will get released. But there's also those channel casts that you want to interrupt because they do a lot of damage. So that's why you just want to interrupt those and keep the dominations ongoing. I had to run away from a shade here, which was bad because I had to run away from my group, but sometimes you don't have a choice. Even if you gust of wind through the shade, it could hit you once, so make sure if you do that, you are at full health. That's the rendering mist, I think is called. That's the channel that you want to interrupt. And once you pull the two casters that follow, they will summon those runes at the side. Those mobs start casting Dead Blast. If Dead Blast goes off, which just did, and one-shotted the rogue, right? If you don't have interrupts, even on Tyrannical week, they can kill you. So I don't know if my Cap Totem was there at this point. Here I interrupted one, the warrior interrupted the other, but you can AoE stun them and do any kind of CC to actually avoid those mobs. Now, this is a tricky situation because it's only me and the warrior left. The rest of the people dead are dead or died. So in here I had to run in and Warstomp the two because I don't think we had the interrupts. And then for the next cast we have the interrupts. The druid is back, beam, so we're fine here. But one thing that I guess happens a lot in this dungeon is the warriors runs forward and pulls the next pack without waiting for us, and that actually is a lot of trouble, even on non-fortified weeks. So we kill this guy. If you have actually interrupts to spare for this Void Bolt that he casts, that actually hits very, very hard, especially on 45 weeks. As you can see, this one hit the Evoker for almost like 30% of his health. But because we had the little mobs, we had to interrupt the Death Blasts, so we didn't have spare interrupts for the Void Bolts. You want to AoE this ads relatively quickly, so you don't have to deal with the interrupts, especially in a bug group, and then you can deal with this mob alone if you have to. On a non-fortified week, you can pull both of those mobs together, but you have to be careful because you have to interrupt all the Dead Blasts, and then there is a Void Bolts going on as well. In here, you run to the right, if you see my routing, and then you don't step on the runes, you don't spawn any extra ads. I think we did spawn one at the back, I'm not sure. Yeah, it's there, so if that happens, make sure you interrupt it. You don't want to have someone killed in the middle of the boss and then don't stand in front of the boss, as the rogue did. This was his own fault. Luckily, we have battle rest, so we recovered there. This boss, I wouldn't even call it a boss, right? It's pretty easy. Tank and spank in the beginning, avoid the frontal, get out of the mud on the ground. And in here, because I know the soul steal comes, I'm trying to put some halts on the on my teammates that I think might be in trouble, because the healing ad that you have to kill is very easy. It has very low health, but some of the DPS actually struggles with their ad. So if I know they're going to struggle, I will try to put some Riptides on them at least, and make sure they're topped off before the soul steal, so that they don't die in that shift phase, whatever it is. Alright, so after the shift phase is done, you will see that I don't heal the people right away, because you get a 40% buff, and even if you're like at low health, there's nothing going on. There's nothing to hit you, so you can like drop your healing stream totem to get the crit buff, and then just start DPSing for that 40% buff. After that's over, you saw the AoE stuff on the ground, you just dodge that, and then you rinse and repeat. Pretty much, as I said, it's a pretty easy fight, not much to comment. As you can see, we wait to clear the Tindering, so we get extra damage. And that's pretty much it. Another Void Phase, you can Gust of Wind out of this. I'm trying to top my Rogue now because I know there's another Soulsteel phase coming up. In here, I guess I Flame Shock the boss. If I Flame Shock the ad, 2 lava bursts are definitely enough. So I had to heal a little bit myself. Here I was not well prepared to kill the ad, but as you can see, I'm not healing anyone right now. I'm just DPSing. There's a 15-second of 40% DPS and HPS. So I just have my healing stream totem. That will top us off, and we're just finishing the boss. Alright, so as I said, very easy fight, even on Tyrannical. Obviously, we don't have Lust for this, but you don't even need it. Avoid the stuff on the ground, and it should be pretty easy kill, even as you can see on A20 Tyrannical. The Rogue got hit here. Luckily, he lives, but you have to be careful, right? We interrupt this ad, and same thing here. So there are some casters, but don't stun, don't interrupt the domination, because then you're going to be in trouble. The Rogue got smoked here. I don't even know why he died. He might have pulled aggro, right? He might have pulled aggro. But in here, I'm just trying to reduce the damage and save as many people as possible. The good thing is that the release point is moved up to this boss's room once you kill it. So from that perspective, you want to release if for some reason you die over here. So I think we interrupted some of the dominations, or maybe not. Doesn't really matter. But although those packs, actually we lost some people, right? They don't even look easy, but those are packs that you have to be very careful about, because they can actually kill people, especially on fortified weeks. And there's not much you can do, right? You can interrupt the void bolts, you can interrupt the channels, but if too many casts go off, you know, you cannot actually use the cap totem because you don't want to interrupt the domination. The mob that we just pulled, the warrior actually wanted to invest, I think, but people just pulled it. If you're lucky enough, that mob actually patrols to the room on the left right now on the screens, and you can skip it without invising, but it's not big of a deal. Interrupt the void bolts, and he will die. Now, the warrior rushed forward here, if you see the map on the upper right-hand side of your screen, and that was another cue that he's a very bad warrior, because he jumped into the spiders, and they actually casted, so right now I have to heal everybody up, because some of the cast went off. Now, you want to definitely interrupt the spider cast. Actually, there's one spider here, so he should have interrupted it, but he didn't even do that. The spiders will put a disease on everybody, and on fortified weeks, it could actually just rot your whole group down and kill you down. The bats will do the same. They put a poison, but they just put it on one person. And also, the bats are stunnable. The spider is not. So make sure to interrupt the spider, and then if some bats basically go off, you can try to heal those off if you don't have a dispel in your group or something like that. But there are a few packs like that. What follows next is double spiders, and the warrior is running up front again. I couldn't go down because I had to clear my thundering, and guess what happens? More casts go off, this time just the rogue, and the warrior got hit. Luckily, I come back in time to save them. But yeah, in pugs that happens all the time, so if somebody makes a mistake, you just have to try and play good to reduce the damage or fix whatever went wrong. Another cast went off here. I didn't have my interrupt, so I couldn't help. But you see how much damage this is actually on a non-fortified week. But you can just try to heal, and if things go bad, just try to save at least yourself so you can rest after that. Alright, up to the worms that come out from the river around us, and the bats. So those bats you actually want to stun initially, and then you want to interrupt as much as possible. The worm has a frontal, so you want to stay away from the tank, and then the worm doesn't have anything to interrupt, so you can use your interrupts on the bats. Not much to say here, except for be careful on the frontals. I think we did fine here, but I had many groups where people get hit by the frontal, they'll get thrown back into the water. God forbid if that's the tank. Actually, if you see here, 2 bats actually targeted me and casted the poison. So 2 stacks hit me pretty hard, but I hit my Ancestral Shift right away just to mitigate the damage. Because if I didn't do that, I would probably be dead. And cast will go off. That's given. There's no way to interrupt all 4 bats in a puck. There's not enough coordination there. So you need to be prepared to heal a little bit on that pool. Other than that, there's not much damage going on here. And the worms are just tank and spank as long as nobody gets hit by the frontal. Alright, coming up is the next boss. The next boss, usually you have lust up until this point, but you don't want to waste the lust for several reasons on this boss. There's much better usages that come up after. So save that for sure. And the most important thing here is stay in melee. Stay in melee because when he does the Corpse Breath, this cast right now, the puddle that he's going to drop is going to be close to the boss, and then when he does the inhale shortly after, your melee can actually stand in, as he does right now, your melee can actually stand in and hit the boss. If you don't do that, the melee will stay in the middle of the platform, and they'll do no damage, so the fight will become very, very long. In here, Quaking, which is very bad, I run out early, and I think you'll see that later, but you can actually survive the inhale if you're far enough from the boss without the puddles. Now, once the 2 little worms come up, there's going to be a lot of damage coming up. You have to make sure that there is melee to both of the worms, otherwise they start free casting. So I go to melee this one, because there's no one doing it, right? And in the meantime, inhale goes on. You see I'm in my Ghost Roof. I think I'll Gust of Wind here. But, okay, I Gust of Wind a little bit too far, right? But as you saw, you can actually survive the inhale if you're far enough from the boss without being in a puddle. Which, especially in a week like this, on a Quaking, is not a bad thing to do, right? Once you kill the little 2 worms, you want to prioritize those so that you don't have to worry about them later. Then it's just tank and spank and repeat. Make sure you're close to the boss, so you bait the Corpse Breath near it, and then the Corpse Breath and the puddle doesn't do that much damage, so you can usually like cast a Healing Rain, which is also going to damage the boss, and then just DPS in the meantime. Avoid the frontals, not much going on here, and then just rinse and repeat. If you get hit by the boss, you have to, as you saw earlier, you have to go into that little swirly thing on the side so that you get back up here. A lot of people got hit by Quaking here, so I just popped my Spirit Link, right? There's no reason not to. You're not actually using any cooldowns on this fight, right? Only when the little worms pop up, there's a little bit more damage, so you can like, I think I casted my Healing Tide at this point, just so people get some extra health. But if something bad happens here, don't hesitate to pop a cooldown. It's an easy fight, but you don't want to lose people because even if you can probably 2-man this boss with your tank, but it's going to take way too long. So don't hesitate to do crazy things to save people just so that the fight is faster. Now over here, another Quaking, another scary moment. The tank is almost dead, but somehow we managed to survive. I think some of the people were smart enough to run out. Otherwise, we would have probably wiped without the tank. So this is specific to this week, this week's affix, but you have to know the affixes because they make some fights significantly more difficult. And you just have to be prepared, right? This is basically your job. The Fell Spit does a little bit of damage. This is the only thing you basically have to heal. And right now he doesn't yell, and I'm just running away, right? I'm afraid of the Quaking, which just happens right now. So I just didn't want to risk another wipe or potential wipe. So what I did is I just go into the Ghost Roof. If you go to the sides, the suck is a little bit weaker, as you saw. And as long as you don't gust of wind in the water, the boss is dead. Yep, the boss is dead right now. So there's 2 more pools now that happen. And this first pool, you definitely don't lose that, even on 45 weeks. But there's 2 spiders and 2 bats. So what I would do is I would try to time my cap totem for the bats and then make sure to interrupt both of the spiders, right? So I usually wait for the first interrupt because that's like the melee and the warrior's job. And I save mine for the second spider. One of the bats managed to get a cast off. The other one gets a cast off right now, so I have to heal my rogue. But obviously that's a little bit more scary on 45 weeks, right? But this, although it could be a hard pull, this is not the fun part, so to speak. The fun part is the next part. The next part, you have those 2 pulsing blue void things. And usually on 45 weeks, you lost those because they're very, very hard. Now, the warrior runs in again and pulls before everybody else is there. We were just not prepared, so we lost the evoker here. I think the release is where the third boss is, so you want to release if you die here. But the bad part is, so they have this void pulse that happens right now, right? That's a lot of AoE damage. And then they will also do the void eruptions, which is the things on the ground that you have to avoid. So as you saw, I popped my Spirit Walker's Grace earlier, just trying to heal while I move. And then once the void pulse happens, you want to top people up as soon as possible because there's another one coming up, right? And there's a way to actually, like, if you pull one of the bubbles to the side first, and then the other one engages a little bit later, the void pulses don't overlap. But that's something that the tank needs to know. And as I said, this is, as you can see, not the best tank so far. He did few good attempts to wipe us. He didn't manage to do that yet, but we basically tried and played around it. I usually call for mana here. Fortified or not, those bubbles would take a lot of healing, a lot of effort. So I usually stay up here because I don't want to go down there in the warrior pools and I'm like at 20% mana and I have to heal the whole boss, right? So usually that's why I stay up. They cannot pull if I'm not down there, right? Now I'm full mana, I'm down here, and because this is a Tyrannical week, we actually didn't lose the bubbles, we saved the lust for the boss. I have a Druid and Evoker, which are going to, hopefully, bait those puddles. Didn't work for the first one. It dropped in the middle of us, so I have to do a little bit of healing right now. But other than that, I think you all know what this boss does. Avoid the frontals, try to bait those beams away, and then kill a gnat away from the beams. The things that do damage here are basically the beams, right? Nothing else should do damage. The warriors should also be fine. Your tank should also be fine. So basically save your CDs, save your panic moments for when the beams come. And the beams will, right now it just dropped on the druid, right? It's going to hit, even if the druid is quick enough to move, it's going to hit him for a significant amount of damage. So be prepared to have a heal for them. And then whoever is close to the beams is also going to start taking damage. So you basically want to save your CDs, you want to save your cooldowns for whenever the beams are down, trying to top everybody up so that they can go in and kill the ad when that happens. The other thing, I guess, so everybody got low here. I'm just dropping Spirit Link to reduce a little bit of the damage, equal everybody's health, and then I have my High Tide proc right now, so I'm just healing everybody up. bad moment here, gust of wind to run away. You have to be prepared for moments like that. If you cannot run to the sides, make sure to stay close to the boss, especially if you have somebody baiting the beams. I try to stay close to the melee so I can hit them with my chain heal, and if the boss targets me with the frontal, it's easy to avoid, right, if you're in the middle of it. Alright, so I'm watching my cooldowns here. I still have Ascendance. I still have Healing Tide Totem, so this is not looking bad. I'm popping Ascendance here because everybody was low. I thought that I'm falling behind, so I wanted to top everybody up before the ad comes. And then also clearing Thundering, of course, with Quaking could be a bit tricky. We got hit by Thundering here, but everything is still fine. I still have the Healing Tide. I'm not sure if... I'm just holding on that if there's another tough moment where I have to heal everybody else, because my Ancestral Guidance just came up, but other than that, I'm basically dry. I don't have Ascendance. And I think over here we're just fine. I think I might drop my Healing Tide just to top everybody up before the supposedly the last ad that's going to come up. And what happens here is our warrior, I think, gets hit. Yeah, he gets hit in the pool, in the black puddle, and that's a lot of damage, right? I see him getting hit. I'll try to save him. There's a healing surge, but if you don't have Spirit Link, and it's Tyrannical +20, he's pretty much dead. Now, this jump here was bad play from my side, but I think the druid said that he was out of range to battle res. We couldn't battle res, so it's a wipe, right? Looking back, I think I popped all my CDs that I had available, but you're not supposed to heal to that, right? This is just personal responsibility, and the warrior just proved that he's not the best tank around. I think we're still fine because we have like, what's that, 44 minutes left, right? So that's plenty to kill the boss, if we play good, of course. My cooldowns will slowly come back up. We don't have Lust now, right? So it will be a slower fight, but you can also get lucky to like have the beams on people that are far away, and you have to heal less, and so forth and so forth. All right, so we go again, right? We go again. You DPS a little bit at the start, and then you heal the people with the beam. And spoiler alert, the warrior is going to get hit again, and we're going to die, right? But I'll just look for some little cues and some little tips to give you here. We managed to do a good job baiting the beams, so you see that we are killing the ad that's away from the beams at this point. I still don't have any CDs right now, except from Spirit Link Totem. Sorry, I thought this is where the warrior got hit. So the ad dies here at the last possible moment. You have to be prepared to run in the last possible moment if that happens. And this is where the warrior gets hit again. So I try to heal him. I have Spirit Link this time. I drop the link. I get into the link to actually try and save him, but then the Quaking gets us. And yeah, I mean, in some situations, the Spirit Link can actually help you heal your warrior, your tank if they get hit, but generally they should not get hit, right? This is the bottom line. And I think that's the end of the key. Like the rest of my team just said some pretty nice words to the warrior, and they just left. And obviously we could have finished the 20, but this warrior just didn't deserve it. And that's how it goes. You know, you cannot time all of your keys. It's just practice. You learn. Specifically for the last fight, we almost got it, right? I don't think there was anything that anyone could have done. Maybe the druid could have battle rest, but other than that, we didn't play good, but managed to get almost to the end of this dungeon. Unfortunately, not timed, but that's that. Alright, so that will be all for that video. Let me know what you think about it. I still think that making a guide might be a little bit shorter and maybe a little bit more beneficial, but people do claim that those videos are helpful for them. So if you think that's a content that you would like to see more on the channel, let me know in the comments below, and I'll happily do more videos like that. Thanks for watching, and see you soon in the next video. Happy healing.